All right, let's dive into an explainer that's, well, it's a bit of a weird one. We're staging a showdown in a very strange courtroom. In one corner, a founding father of capitalism, and in the other, the soul-crushing reality of modern traffic. This is Adam Smith Confronts Gridlock.
Our whole story really kicks off with this one simple, powerful idea: freedom through asphalt. It's this core belief that having a car in an open road is like the ultimate expression of personal liberty. But today, that very idea is about to be put on trial.
So where does a trial like this even happen? Well, it takes place in a bizarre, fictional courtroom where that idea is basically the law of the land. So welcome to our first section, the Court of Asphaltica.
I want you to picture this place. You've got these harsh fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. The whole courtroom smells like a mixture of a gas station and old coffee. And the judge? His name, of course, is Judge Gridlock. There's even a neon sign over his head that flashes that slogan, freedom through asphalt. This isn't just a court. It's practically a temple built to worship the automobile.
So the trial gets underway, and the prosecution is about to call its star witness. But here's the thing. It's not some traffic engineer or a city planner. No, it's someone much, much more unexpected. So just think about it for a second. In a case that's all about defending our modern, car-dependent world, who would you possibly call to the stand to challenge the whole thing? I bet you wouldn't guess this. Yep, you're seeing that right. A ghostly apparition of Adam Smith himself, the father of modern economics, materializes in the witness stand, wig and all. He kind of looks around at this courtroom filled with people staring at their phones, vape clouds everywhere, and you can just tell he is not impressed. So the prosecutor points to this big-scale model of a modern city, picture something like LA, and asks Smith if he recognizes it as freedom. And this is his answer. He doesn't see liberty at all. He sees a trap, a beautiful, shiny trap, a gilded cage paved over in tar. What an opening line. It just completely changes the conversation.
Now, Smith isn't just here to drop some sick burns. He's here to make a very specific and pretty damning accusation. He introduces this concept that, honestly, cuts right to the bone of how we live our lives today: tyranny by convenience.
And this is where the two sides really clash. On one side, you have Judge Gridlock, who's practically shouting that freedom is simple. It's the right to drive your car wherever you want, whenever you want. But Smith comes back with this much deeper point. When your individual pursuit of freedom ends up wrecking the common good for everybody else, that's not liberty. It's straight-up theft.
And this gets us to his main point, this idea of tyranny by convenience. I mean, just think about it. We all make the easy choice, right? We hop in the car because it feels convenient. But when millions of us all make that same convenient choice, the result is gridlock, pollution, and cities that are basically impossible to navigate unless you're in a car. All our little conveniences add up to one big collective cage.
And Smith comes with the receipts. He points to the evidence that's all around us, these endless, soulless strip malls, the choking smog in the air, sidewalks that literally just end in a patch of dirt, and millions of us trapped in these metal boxes, wasting hours of our lives just trying to get from A to B. He basically asked the court, is this really what you call freedom?
Okay, so if our current setup is a tyranny, then what's the alternative? See, Smith doesn't just criticize, he actually offers a totally different vision of what liberty is, and it puts true freedom in a fight against what he calls licensed ruin.
And this is where he says something that sounds pretty radical, especially coming from the guy who literally wrote the book on capitalism. He argues that for a society to be truly free, it has to put limits on stuff that causes massive harm to everyone. The freedom to pollute the air or to build cities that make people feel isolated and lonely, that's not freedom. He calls it the licensed ruin of the many.
For Smith, it really all boils down to this. A society isn't really free if everyone is in conflict with their environment and with each other. Real liberty needs harmony. It needs a balance between what one person wants and the health of the whole community. Without that balance, you don't have freedom, you just have chaos.
So how does this 250-year-old argument actually land in the modern court of Asphaltica? Well, somebody in the gallery just kind of mutters what everyone else is thinking. Damn, he cooked us. Smith's logic is just so sharp, so timeless, that it slices right through centuries of bad assumptions. So the entire courtroom is just reeling. Judge Gridlock is banging his gavel, trying to get things back in order, but Smith, he's not done yet. He's got one last, fiery judgment to deliver.
he slams his hand on the witness stand and makes this incredible connection. I mean, what good is your freedom of speech if you're physically trapped? If you can't just walk out your door and meet your neighbors or gather in a public square because the entire world is built for cars, are your other freedoms even real?
And then he just dismantles the idea that all of this is just the necessary price of progress. He says you can't call it prosperity if it kills community, dignity, and beauty. It's not progress if it leaves the human soul to starve in a concrete desert.
And after that, you could hear a pin drop, because Smith's words, they tap into that feeling that so many of us have but just push down, That nagging feeling that something is just deeply wrong with the places we've built, that quiet dread you feel sitting in traffic every single day.
And so, as the ghost of Adam Smith fades away, we're left with this one giant question just hanging in the air. We built this world for our own convenience, right? To make our lives easier. But what if, after all that effort, we just built ourselves a more comfortable cage? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.